Scorpio, welcome to Yellow Card No Tarot with me. My name is Carole and this is going to be a general reading for you for May 2026. And if you're new to my channel, I want to welcome you and I hope that you subscribe and you also comment below your video to let me know if it resonated with you and just to tell me that, hey, I just found your channel. And if you're coming back, supporting me and hopefully subscribing, thank you. Because I want this channel to get out to more people because it is a healing channel. And for those of you that are looking for a personal reading, you can go to my website, Carole Cares, that's Carole with an E.com, and you can find personal readings there. There's a page, my tarot page is on there, and also I'm a shamanic healer, shamanic practitioner, and so if you would like a healing or a 15-minute free consultation with me to see if we would be a good fit for each other for the healing, the link to that is as well on my website, and in the description box in the comment section below I will leave those links for you if you're interested in a shamanic healing or a personal tarot reading. But you're here for a reading, aren't you? So when I sat down this month, the words hollow bone came to me. And so I knew that I had to make a reading around becoming like a hollow bone. And I thought of right away a card that is actually taken from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. And I remember that there was a hollow bone card in there. And underneath the hollow bone is written teachability. And so this hollow bone idea, this hollow bone, it's an archetype that is central to shamanic practice. And what it is, it speaks about becoming a conduit or a vessel for spirit or the divine to work through us. And to work through us for healing ourselves and for allowing them to come through to heal other people. And so in order to become like a hollow bone, one must become empty of the notions of who they are. And so it's like you got to check your ego at the door, because the ego self is the one that has told you all your life who you are. And so it's like time now that, okay, are you willing to become teachable? Are you willing to become that hollow bone, like that hollow bone? And so it's about essentially getting out of your own way so that you can become teachable in a position to receive, whether it's receive healing or receive a message, instead of trying to control everything that's around us. And we try to control our situations, whether it's with relationships or, you know, our job or what we're going to do next. And we tend to leave that up to the ego self and the mind to try to figure it all out. But so this is about really, you know, how can I become in that position where I'm open to be teachable? And that means there's some change here that's going to be brought about if you're willing to be teachable, right? And the ego self does not like change, and that's why it's so important to keep it at the door, you know, check it at the door and say, you know what? I want to become like a hollow bone where I want to be open to something coming in for me, change, all right? So let's begin, Scorpio. I'm going to use the Ehrenberg Tarot, and I pre-shuffled that before I came on. And so I'm going to keep my hollow bone here theme at the top. And then I'm going to clarify with the Tarot of the AU Weight. So I want to start off, Scorpio, with looking at what belief or identity story are you holding on to right now that's blocking you, right? We talked about, you know, you've been holding on to some story about yourself for a long time. So what is it? Can I have one card for that? One card for Scorpio about what belief or identity story is Scorpio holding on to. Let's have one card for that. Oh, you have the Star card. Interesting card to make itself known to us for that first category. What pattern, mindset, or emotions need to be released or emptied out right now? And I'm going to say that this part's coming from your unconscious. It's actually right here, this pattern or mindset. It's going to be what's driving this first part right here. It'll be what's coming from your shadow. And so here I am with my itchy nose. I had an itchy nose yesterday as well when I was doing some readings. So what's pattern, mindset, or emotions does Scorpio need to release right now? Need to empty out. The Hierophant. That's an interesting card for that. You have 2 major arcana cards on the table already. What's the message, the guidance, or the truth behind what you've been resisting? Right? Because it's the truth that we resist. And we kind of, the ego self keeps us in our status quo. Doesn't want us to look at anything new. You know, the truth. It doesn't like authenticity. Doesn't like the truth. So what is it that you've been resisting here? So let's have one card for that. That is the King of Pentacles right here. Sideways. And how can you begin to trust and allow? How can you, Scorpio, begin to trust and allow in order to step into this hollow bone state right now? And so this is going to come from the tarot, sort of like some advice here. And remember that this is a process. So it's not going to be a big general idea. It's going to be pretty specific. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you a playlist at the end from my other channel called Carole Cares. And that'll help you as well to really focus on what you need to focus on right now in order to be teachable. So what's the message? How can you begin to trust and allow in order to step into this hollow bone right now? One card. And you have a King of Cups. Okay, so you have 2 kings right beside each other. Very, very significant, those kings. So we'll talk about them when we get to it. And let's start off with some clarifiers for the Star card right now. A couple cards for that. One and taking a bit to get this card out. There we go. Okay, so you have the Lover's card and the Queen of Wands. Other major arcana for you. Hierophant, so you got big energies on the table, is what I'm saying. So, oh, there's another major arcana. Wow. Got a lot of help this month for you. One more card here. Okay, so you have the Hermit and the 5 of Wands underneath the Hierophant card. King of Pentacles, couple cards for that, please. Because Scorpio's waiting. One more. Okay, so you have the Two of Pentacles and the Moon card right underneath the Knight of Pentacles. Wow, we really do have a lot of major arcana cards. Another card here, the Moon. King of Cups. Couple cards. Finally, we're nearing the end. And I get to your reading. I'm about as anxious as you are, Scorpio, to hear your reading. We have to be patient. It's thinking. Couple more cards. Funny. Okay, one, interesting, another king. It's your third king. Oops, okay, that one wants to come out, we're gonna take it. Knight of Swords. So you have the King of Swords and the Knight of Swords. Wow, you've got an interesting ending right here. So what belief or identity story you're holding on to that's blocking you right now? So you start off with the Star card. And, you know, Star card's a beautiful card, and it talks about healing. And I think you're aware that there's some real healing that needs to be done, and maybe you are up for it, right? Sometimes we can get stuck in a place where we're healing and not getting anywhere. If you know what I mean, like it's like, okay, I'm going to take myself for an example. I've been healing intensively for 9 years. And when I say that, I mean, I've been doing it 24/7 with a trauma coach, and that's all I've been doing, like intensively. And yet I can say that I healed before that for many years. I was on my healing journey, but I never was really doing significant work. I was trying to find a therapist and trying to get back into it. And so I see here that you are healing, you're open to it, but I don't know if like you're doing like a deep healing. And I think this is really the first time I've ever kind of said that in a reading where it's like a healing that needs to go deeper now, right? And I think that maybe I can see that your ego self is really coming out here in with these kings over here. And I think maybe, you know, your ego, believe it or not, does not like healing, but it can actually convince you that you're healing, if that makes any sense. And it does that because it wants you to keep you where you are. What it doesn't want is you to go deeper, is what I'm saying here. And so the Lover's card comes in reverse here. It's really important to understand what this card is in an upright position. This card it's called the Lover's card. There's a real big choice. It's a choice card for you. And I'm seeing that there is a choice here for you. And I think it's the choice to go deeper. But remember I said that your ego self is in control here, and it's convincing you that you're healing, that whatever you're doing is healing. But what you need to realize is that this choice card shows these two individuals right here. You have this feminine side and the masculine. The feminine is looking up, right? And she's very connected. The feminine's very connected to intuition, to the divine. And the masculine just looks straight ahead, not even looking at the feminine at all. And so they're very much separated. They're not connected. But we have these two sides to us. We have a feminine side and we have a masculine side. Everybody has that. And the main goal of something distracted me outside, and so it was like, okay, don't look outside anymore. The main goal of the Fool's journey is to bring the Fool's feminine and masculine side together and balance them out. And so this Lover's card is saying you're at a choice point here where I think you need to realize that the healing that you've been doing, and this is a very unique reading. I don't think I've done this one before, and I think it's going to be interesting where it goes, but I think you need to realize that there's definitely an imbalance in you, sorry, because it's in reverse. And so you've got, I'm going to say, the masculine side of you that is definitely convincing you, your ego, that you're healing, but you're not allowing your feminine side to come through. Interesting. So here she is right here. This is your feminine side. The Queen of Wands is your feminine side, and she's sitting here right beside the Lover's card, right? It's like, you're not, this is what needs to come through right now. She's in a sideways position. She's not necessarily, if she were upside down, I would say that she's blocked. But I think she's ready to open up. Your feminine side's ready to blossom, to bloom, right? She has the wand here, and the wand talks about your purpose. It talks about your creativity, your creative purpose. It talks about putting yourself first. Maybe that when I said that, like, how do you feel when I say that it's about putting yourself first? A lot of people have a very difficult time with that, especially if you're someone that has allowed people to control you or has had a very controlling mind with this masculine controlling everything, right? And so there's definitely your feminine side that's wanting to come out here. This is an interesting reading. And so what pattern, mindset, or emotions need to be released or emptied out right now? This is very much your unconscious. This is like, you know, what you've learned from your childhood about this, what you've learned from your adolescence that needs to be healed. It's coming up here. And it's like a pattern or a mindset that you've had all your life. But it's about time now that it gets emptied out. So you have the Hierophant here. And the Hierophant is a very interesting, you know, he's a papal figure. You can see here how he's in his teaching mode, right? And so this card, this major arcana card, it represents, you know, who are those authority figures in your life that taught you? Who are those people in your life that wired the way that you think? You know, and this is a card that says, you know, how are you wired? How are you wired around being someone that just controls from their mind? Maybe you were, and we're going to see a little bit more, but you were definitely someone that was wired to stay up in their head, which meant you wouldn't have been encouraged to use your emotions or experience that, your body, because your body is your feminine side. And so, like, how are you wired when you're younger? Because you have the Hermit card right underneath it. And the Hermit card talks about someone that's very introspective. Somebody that, you know, goes inwards. The Hermit card is that call to go inwards and to be in their body and to know what it feels like to have that gut feeling or that intuitive knowing. And that's blocked over here by this Hierophant card. It's like you were wired to not go into your body, to not stay in your body. And then the Five of Wands comes out here, and look at this. This is what's called the battle of the egos. It's like they're comparing. They're comparing their batons, their wands. Mine's bigger than yours. Oh, look at mine. It's higher up in the air than yours. Do you see that you know, their egos are coming out. This card is very much a card for me of that inner critic. You know, those things that we tell ourselves, they're actually the things that we were told when we were younger, and our ego self repeats it in our head. So, what are the things that you are continuing to repeat over and over in your head about maybe going in your body or feeling or using your emotions? What is keeping you up in your head? You know, what right now, are there messages that are coming up as I'm speaking because your ego self won't like what I'm saying? But are there messages that are coming up saying like, she's making no sense? What's she talking about? A masculine and a feminine side? She's full of shit. Like, those are your ego self. That's what it'll tell you. Because there's not one part of your ego self that's going to want to get into their body. Egos don't like the body. It's emotions are there, and egos don't like emotions. They're petrified part. And so what is the message, guidance, or truth behind that you've been resisting? Right? So I kind of said what you've been resisting. So let's see what the message is. Well, you have this Knight of Pentacles coming out here. And knights are important. You have one here, and then you have another one over here. So you have the Knight of Pentacles right now. So the Knight of Pentacles is that part of us. I call it a freedom fighter. Everybody has this part. It's like it wants freedom. It wants freedom from oppression, which means it wants to do what it wants to do. And it's the Knight of Pentacles. It's the knight that wants to go into their body, that wants to feel their way through life, that wants to have full access to their emotions, that wants to be grounded, that wants to do what they want to do, that wants to be authentic and real. Because if we're living out of our heads, if we're living from our masculine side, we have a mask on. We could have several masks actually. But this knight is the one that's going to fight for you getting into your body, for you becoming authentic, for you going into a new direction. And it's sideways here. So, you know, there could be some real anger going on here. Maybe you've got a little bit of anger brewing underneath because you want, this part of you wants to take you in this direction. And it's angry, right? It's trying to come, the message here, the guidance is trying to come through here. But you're quite busy, I can see. You're keeping yourself distracted with this Two of Pentacles. This Two of Pentacles speaks about this individual, this juggler, who's juggling on one foot, very ungrounded, right? Multitasking, and he's juggling pentacles, right? You know, pentacles are meant to keep you grounded. It's the earth element, but he's really lopsided here. He's multitasking, and so I think that you're someone that very much is distracted. Keep yourself distracted. And that's what our ego self does. It keeps us in our head, keeps you spinning in your head, right? Distracted, does not want you to ground into your body. And the messages here is to become aware of how much you distract yourself from feeling. Are you keeping busy somehow? What are your distractions here? Because what's happening is this Moon card, which is a major arcana card, and it represents, you know, these things that are hidden. When the moon comes out, they come out when the moon's coming out, and, you know, and the moon talks about our intuition. This is our inner knowing. This is what's available to every one of us. And I talked to you about this, the Lover's card, and how this feminine part's very, very intuitive because she's connected to the divine. And so this is coming out for you right here, but in order for you to get in contact with or get in touch with your intuition, which is your own gut knowing, it's your own wisdom, your personal wisdom that everybody has, you have got to become less distracted and become aware of how you are keeping yourself distracted, because you cannot get in contact with, you cannot become intuitive, you can't get in touch with your intuition unless you are in your body. And that's so important right now, because there's a real need for you to get back in your body. And I think I've been saying this, like your feminine starts blossoming over here. So how can you begin to trust and allow, right? That's the hard part. You know, and it's all about checking your ego in at the door. How do you start to trust and allow what needs to come forward right now, so that you become that hollow bone state, so that you become teachable? You know, it's how do you get out of your head? How do you check your ego at the door? And here's the guidance from the tarot. So you really start off with the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is, I said that the king is your masculine side. And so you need to be aware, because this is the second time the king has shown up. So you need to be aware of how your mind is preventing you from feeling your emotions, because cup's all about our emotions. And so you have your ego self here is blocking your emotions, and you need to become aware. And that's why you keep yourself distracted, so that you don't have to feel your emotions. And then you have the King of Swords right underneath it. You have two kings here in this last part. And so this is very much you becoming aware of, first of all, how much your ego self is blocking you from your emotions. And when it does that, it's also blocking you from your authentic self, because the sword here is your authentic self. It's you. It's underneath all the masks of the ego self. It's being blocked, and there's a real need for you to get in touch with the feminine side, so that you can start, because authenticity is a feminine quality, so that you can start to explore who that your authentic self is. And the last card is a knight. And look at this knight. It's ferocious. It's got this sword. You know, I don't make this stuff up. Here's the two swords right here. That's the authentic sword. That's the sword that's going to cut through the bullshit. Look at that knight who's willing to go. And I said that the knights in my deck are called freedom fighters. This is the part that is fighting for your authentic self. And because you have your ego self here, who's on one hand, and this part of you, this freedom fighter that wants to go towards your authentic self, you've got this ego self going, no, we're not going there. It's petrified. And that's the anxiety that you're feeling. It's petrified because this knight is freaking angry. It's angry because it wants its authentic self to come in. And this part's going, no, we can't go there. And that's why when your anxiety comes up, it's really, there's a lot of anger that's sitting behind it. And so it's really important for you. I'm going to leave you with a playlist, first of all, on grounding. I think it's really important that you learn how to ground yourself. And a playlist on anger, because you've got some anger that needs to be released. But you got to be in your body so that you can journal and release and ground some of that anger that's coming out here, because you've had two knights, you've had two kings. And so this is really a battle. I would not be surprised if you're someone that has a lot of anxiety, because you've got these two parts battling it out. Your ego self and this freedom fighter that wants to go towards their authentic self and who's freaking angry, right? And that is the part that's going to bring us our change, you know, when we can release that anger. And so, Scorpio, I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through. I know this is a very difficult journey, but it's the most important journey of your life. So take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.